Okay, Ben, let's talk a little bit about some of the defensive numbers. Okay, so I put this out here earlier today at our Edwards Radio. You can check it out. The Broncos had 15 pressures, 1 sack, 7 hits, and 7 hurries per Pro Football Focus. Mm-hmm. Now, I did compare those to the Steelers' defense numbers, but there's an asterisk. There's an asterisk. They had 37 pressures, 3 sacks, 5 hits, and 29 hurries. So a little bit asterisk because it was against the Giants. But it got me thinking about what the Broncos' numbers were last year as far as pressures. Mm-hmm. Did you realize that when the Broncos, in the 5 games, if they cleared just 20 pressures, so 5 more pressures, mm-hmm. they were 3-2. And the 2 losses were the Jacksonville game and the Colts game. Mm-hmm. 2 very winnable games.
Yes.
So in 5 games last year, they cleared 20 pressures.
Okay.
They could have gone 5-0. In mm-hmm. the other games, they were 4-7. Mm-hmm. So if they were less than 20, they were 4-7 in those games. Sometimes it was super ugly, like 5. Like at the beginning of the year when they played Oakland, they had 5 pressures.
Right.
Like that. So
they're still getting used to the defense.
That's right. That's right. And I went and took a look at interceptions because we've talked a ton about how that pressure up front, the way Vic Fangio wants to do it, if you get those pressures, you're going to get interceptions on the back end. In those 5 games, mm-hmm. the Broncos had 9 interceptions. Mm-hmm. In the ones that they didn't clear 20 pressures, 3.
I think that's the number right there. I think everything else stems off of that. Your correlation causation is you should have led with that one because that was you buried the lead, Edwards.
I didn't
bury the lead.
No, I want more of the big reveal.
Okay,
this for me was more like a fireworks show. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to
blow your explosion in the first 10 minutes. You got to keep the kids around for the grand finale.
I had to ramped it up.
You know what? I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yes, that's the one right there. Is that the amount of pressure genuinely affects the quarterback, and it gives them a ball-hawking defense the ability to go after it. I think that's how the Broncos are going to win games this year. I think you've got an offense that's going to be kind of middle of the road all said and done. They're going to be better than last year, and they're certainly better than the 14 points that they put up. To be honest with you, if they had just punched it in from the 1, it's 21 points, and we're not talking about 14. So, yes, they need to do that. They need to be able to generate pressure up front, and that pressure will lead to multiplying the bounty, as it were, in terms of turnovers and wins and all that kind of stuff. That's where it starts, the ability to get that pressure. I thought they got pretty good push out of the front 3. I thought Jerry Atachu had a heck of a game. I thought Bradley Chubb was better than people thought he was. I think people didn't really pay attention to him throughout the game because he didn't show up in the stat sheet. I think people were just like, oh, he didn't have much of a game. You go back and look, they were treating him like they would have treated Von Miller.
That's what drives me crazy about box score scouts.
Right.
Is when they go like, Bradley Chubb's got to show up way more than he did with 2 pressures or 2 QB hits. It's
they were doubling him up and chipping him with the back.
Go watch the game.
Right, yeah. Go watch the tape, man. I can tell you what happened is they were doubling him up over on that side. He was, by the way, he was up against Taylor Lewan and not Dennis Kelly. And he was up against Taylor Lewan, who's a very good tackle. They were doubling him up. They would throw the tight end to that side, and then they chip him with the back out of the backfield as well. And so, you had a situation where, and then keep in mind, Arthur Smith loves those max protect sets. They had 6, 7 blockers in on some of these plays, and guys aren't used to that, especially if you're only sending 5. Now you're outmatched. So, it really is a situation where people need to hit the brakes for a minute, recognize there's context to a situation. I know Bradley Chubb wasn't at 100%. But, hang on just a minute. There's a reason that Atachi was dominating because they left him one-on-one on Kelly over there, and he was absolutely dominating the guy.
But that's what he's supposed to do. If Bradley Chubb is going to get that attention, then
you
the
need
guy
somebody
on the
other side to be able to do that.
And Bradley Chubb still had 3 pressures.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 pressures. Jeremiah Atachi had 5. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Bradley Chubb tied with Alexander Johnson for pressures. Remember, they were sending Alexander Johnson on some blitz.
They were.
So the thing that comes out of this for me, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I saw some stuff about that earlier about people thinking Bradley Chubb, first of all, played 59 snaps, way more than I thought he was going to do.
How many did Malik Reed have in pressures?
Malik Reed did not register any pressures.
Okay. All right. He was the guy who came in to spell him a little bit.
He played 33 snaps and did not register any pressures.
Okay.
But in that vein, he played more snaps than I expected him to. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, he did have a little bit of an impact. But this is really where the conversation needs to go. The Broncos had 15 pressures. They need to ratchet it up more against the Steelers. Are they going to be able to?
I think so. Steelers have a heck of an offensive line, I'll say that. It's better than the Titans. You're going to have to get creative with the way that you do that. But I saw the Giants being able to get some pressure at times. And I think
they got an injury at
the
the right tackle, actually. So I think there might be an opportunity there.
I'll say this, though. Here's the other part of this. Ryan Tannehill gets the ball out pretty quick. Ryan Tannehill is not a guy to hang on to the football. Ben Roethlisberger will hang on to the ball. One of the longest hold on to the ball times amongst NFL quarterbacks in the league. I believe he's the third worst, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look. He does that, though. He believes he's indestructible back there. He believes that he can move around a little bit, even though he can't anymore. And he believes that keeping his eyes up and down field and buying time and then making that throw, he's got the arm to make that throw, that it'll result in a big play. And so I think that works to the Broncos' advantage because I think that he's going to do that and you're going to be able to get the opportunity to get some hits in on him and get to him. So, yes.
Would you do anything different than they did this first time around?
Well, you're going to do some things different than you did because it's the Titans, and you're not really worried about a Derrick Henry back there. You know, the way they started Jerry Atachu because he's bigger and a surer tackle than Malik Reed. Malik's faster than Jerry. I might start Malik Reed in this game. I think that the way you're going to attack this is different because, Connor's kind of a plotter. Benny Snell, he can move a little bit. But, I think if you're the Denver Broncos, you're not worried about that 265-pound battering ram coming at you from the A-gap. So you're not – you can do things differently and you can scheme it differently. You don't have to send A.J. as much as you did last time.
But the one thing you do have to worry about that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense does represent is they are going to go deep on you. They are absolutely going to be pushing the ball down the field. They're looking for those opportunities, which is one of the reasons why you mentioned Ben Roethlisberger holding the ball a little longer to let those routes develop.
If you're the Broncos, you want that. You've got the two safeties that are rangy and that are able to go out there and pick you off. And if you're Broncos, you want them in vertical situations because you first of all, you're running a cover 4, and you've got Justin Simmons, one of the most athletic safeties in the league, and he had kind of a down game against the Titans, and I happen to know that's motivating him this week. Kareem Jackson back there. You got guys that you have opportunity to make turnovers. If you're the Denver Broncos, that's exactly what you want. Snuff out that run on first and second down and force the Roethlisberger back there into those 5 wide. You know he's going to throw it deep sets, and then go after him. Go after the ball.